Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, and joining me is LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are your hosts. We're broadcasting live every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the blogtalkradio.com network, bringing you some of the best golfers, teacher professionals, and entrepreneurs helping to elevate women's golf. We're so glad you decided to join us this morning, so grab your coffee and let's get started. All right, good morning, everybody, and thank you once again for joining us here on the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, and right alongside, of course, each and every week is LPGA professional and Legends Tour player and my friend, Cindy Miller. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Very, very excited this morning. We've got a great show. We've got a young lady off the Symetra Tour is going to be joining us, Esther Lee, in here just a moment, and then a little bit later on, we're going to be joined by another of your LPGA Class A professionals. Jordan Lintz is going to be joining us here on the second half. So we're very, very excited. We've got a great show for everybody, and it's fall. It's still a little hot down here in Florida, Cindy, but we're getting close to fall. How are things up in Buffalo?
It's a little chilly, but it's sunny, so there's still hope. No snow yet.
No. All right. As I mentioned, we've got a great show for you this morning. I'm just going to tell everybody a little bit about our first guest, and then Cindy and I will bring her onto the show. As I mentioned, her name is Esther Lee. She's 24 and a native of Los Alamitos, California. She spent her freshman year of collegiate career at Duke University before transferring to the University of Colorado, where she was a two-time All-Pac-12 first-team selection. She was also a three-time medalist for the Buffaloes at the 2015 Bay Area Intercollegiate, 2015 East and West Match Play, and 2016 Dick McGuire Invite. She's also a two-time Women's Golf Association's second-team All-American and a CU Female Co-Athlete of the Year in 2015 and 16 as well. She's also the recipient of the 2017 CU Female Career Athletic Achievement Award and recognized as the team MVP each of her 3 years competing in Boulder. So very well accomplished. She also started her rookie year in 2018 on the Symetra Tour, where she played 9 times across 14 starts and earned a best season finish of tied 7th on 2 occasions, and at the Forsyth Classic and the Four Winds Invitational. And this season, she's made 18 starts so far through the Garden City Charity Classic, capturing 11 top 15s and a career best runner-up result at the second annual Valley Forge Invitational. So, Cindy, let's welcome our special guest to start things off, Esther Lee.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys today?
We're doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, we're doing fit. Well, we're happy to have you. Cindy, do you want to start off? Do you want me to?
You go right ahead.
All right. All right. So, Esther, let me just ask you again on behalf of Cindy and I. Welcome to the show. We're excited to have you. I just want to recap just something that I mentioned here just a moment ago, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. As I mentioned, in 2018, which was your rookie year, you played in 14 events and made 9 of the cuts, finishing twice at tied for 7th. This season was fairly similar. You did a little much better, obviously many top 3 finishes and a runner-up at the Valley Forge Invitational. Would you say overall, obviously you would love to have had a win in there, but overall, are you pretty happy with your performance the first couple of years on the Symetra Tour?
I mean, I think everyone who plays out here would like a win, and that's what we're all playing for. But no, this year I'm really happy about how I've been doing, and it's a lot more consistent how I've been playing as opposed to last year. So last year was my rookie year, and it was a huge learning curve just to get adjusted to golf outside of college and outside of junior golf. So it was a big step, and I learned a lot, and this year I kind of took all that and it's been working out really well.
Yeah. What was, just very quickly, and then I have another question for you before I pass it over to Cindy. You mentioned it was a learning curve. What specifically did you find different about playing in your first year? What surprised you, and what sort of not nearly caught you off guard, I guess is not the right way to put it, but were there, I guess surprises would be the best thing. What things were you surprised about when you got out on tour?
I think I had certain expectations of what it was going to be like, but I think the one thing that really surprised me was the amount of travel that we were doing. I think that was the hardest thing for me to adjust to, was having to play every week for multiple weeks in a row, because I had never done that before, and I didn't realize how tiring or how mentally draining it could get. So...
Yeah, you needed a lot of sleep, I'm sure, on those stretches. And you're right. Cindy and I have had the pleasure of interviewing a number of young ladies from the Symetra Tour this season, and that's, I think, a sort of a resounding theme that many of them talk about is the traveling component and some long stretches where I think at one time you guys had, I think it was 7 or 8 tournaments in a row. That's a big stretch back to back like that. Let me ask you just one other question, and then Cindy, I'm going to give it to you. Do you think you need to improve a particular part of your game in order to make that win happen, and if so, what part?
I think it would be putting. So far this year, I've been putting really well. It's just every week there's just a couple of putts that I miss that, it was kind of it for me. Like, if I had made just a couple of more putts, I could have definitely won a tournament so far this year. But I've been pretty solid throughout the year with ball striking and off the tee, and with putting. But every player could tell you the same thing, that there's always a couple of more putts that they could have made. But I think moving on with my career, I really do want to focus on becoming a better putter, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to, can you make the putt? So. Right.
I'm actually surprised that would be part of your answer, only because I looked at some of the stats before we came on, and I think, unless something's changed, I think you're ranked number 1 in putting. So you're actually you've got a pretty good solid putting stroke to get to that number 1 on tour. But I understand what you're trying to say. I think that's smart. Cindy, go ahead. I know you got some questions.
I'm going to shift states a little bit here and ask you why you transferred schools.
So when I first originally committed to Duke, I was kind of caught up in the whole going away to college idea. And I don't think I ever just kind of sat back and realized how far North Carolina is from California. It's almost as far as you can get from where I grew up. And I think for me, I had a really hard time adjusting being so far away from home at that age, just because growing up and playing golf, I was constantly with my parents or my brother, and I had never really been separated from them for a long period of time. And I found that I struggled with it a little bit, and I didn't have that same level of comfort that I would have preferred. So when I decided to transfer, I was thinking about, well, I want to be closer to home, but I don't want to be right at home. And I mean, there are so many great schools in California that are within 25, 30 minutes of where I'm from, but that almost seemed a little too close. So I thought about Colorado, and I was born in Colorado, and we moved when I was in first grade, and I still have a ton of cousins out there, and aunts and an uncle. So I thought it would be a good fit, and it ended up being really great. So,
I commend you for knowing all this and transferring. And we have a lot of listeners that are young, students that want to play in college and maybe eventually try to play on the tour. So I'm asking you these questions just to share with them that it's okay for you to be happy and that it's really important. Yeah, I mean, you've got to be okay with where you're going. My question is then, the coach at Duke, did they give you a release?
They did.
Okay, that's awesome, because what that means is they release you. If they don't give you a release, you have to sit out a year, which is terrible. Yeah. So our son did the same thing. He started at Ohio State University and then transferred to Augusta State, and Ohio State did give him a release, which is great, so he didn't miss a beat and he kept playing. But you absolutely have to find a place where you're comfortable so that you can play your best and be happy. So good for you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. My next question is, why are you so consistent? How often do you practice? How confident are you sure of what you're doing with your swing? This is absolutely awesome. You're not afraid to go low. You've got every single piece you need to be a star on the LPGA Tour for a really long time.
I think the conclusion that I've come to with consistency, it comes down to experience, I think. You just have to be able to be comfortable with all parts of your game, even if you feel like somewhere, your ball striking isn't as good as it was last week, and you just have to be comfortable enough to adapt to just that week's, how you're playing that specific week, because it changes week by week on how you're hitting the ball and stuff. But I've just learned to adapt and play with what I have. And I mean, one week if I'm starting to hit a little bit, I hit a natural draw. So if I'm playing a little bit of a bigger draw, I'll adjust for that. Or, and I think that is because I'm comfortable with adjusting my game to how I've been playing. I think that's been a big factor in how I've been so consistent this season. And practice.
That's awesome.
Practice, it's we all practice. There's not a single player out here that doesn't practice, but this so late in the season now that we're all kind of just running on fumes and we're conserving energy, and we'll only really focus on areas of our game that we need to. So for me, that's mostly been short game and putting. And it's been working out. So I'm happy to say that overall, it's just about being comfortable with your swing and your game.
I totally agree with you. And no freaking out, just chilling and saying, this is me and I've got what I need, and I just have to produce the shot at the time when it needs to happen, and I'm just going through the motions. That's the other thing is, I think, like you just said, we're all exhausted at the end of the year. There's 3 tournaments left. Everybody wants to be in the top 10 to earn their card. But the point is there really is no beginning and end, because you're trying to play golf for the rest of your life, And the more you just work on it and say, ho-hum, here we go, it's just another shot, and don't put any extra added value on each particular shot or tournament, the better you're going to produce.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, there is a little bit of added pressure right now just because we're so close to the end, and we're so close to finalizing the top 10 and who get to move on to the LPGA next year. But I'm trying my best not to think about it and just playing how I've been playing for the last 18 weeks. So.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. That's awesome. Ted, go ahead.
Esther, let me, just sort of on that theme, let me ask you something. Cindy and I, as I mentioned earlier, have had the pleasure and honor of speaking with a number of the young ladies from Tour. And something that many of them said, and I don't know if you're at that point or if you've been at that point so far in your career, but there came a moment, if you will, that many of the young ladies started to recognize that, and I don't mean that they were taking away from practice or continue to working hard, but there came a realization that they needed to really focus on just having fun, just really enjoying the moment, not getting caught up in the stats, not getting caught up in and having to grind it out, but just go out there and play the best golf, and win, lose, or draw, they're going to be happy with it as long as they gave it their best shot. And ultimately, they just want to go out and have fun. And interestingly enough, in many of the occasions, they ultimately went on and won a tournament. So do you think you're at that point that you've said to yourself, you know what, I know I got to work hard and I've got to get out there and grind it out, but at the same time, I want to just have fun. I'm not going to worry about whether I win or lose. I just want to be out here because I enjoy it, I love the game, and I want to have fun. Do you think you're there yet?
I think I'm not quite there yet, but I am getting close. I mean, I've talked about this with friends and family over the past year, is that I have been enjoying myself a lot more this year than I was last year. Last year, I did put a lot of pressure on myself, and I think it kind of hurt me in the end, but this year I just came out with the mindset that, okay, like, you've done this before for a year, and now let's have fun. I mean, you worked towards this goal for so long that it just became kind of second nature, but you've never really had fun. I mean, playing golf is fun, but sometimes we're so hard on ourselves and we give ourselves extra pressure that it can kind of give you a little bit of stress and take away from the fun. So this year, that's something that I really tried to stop doing, and was just enjoy every week being in a different place. And so, I mean, I'm definitely closer to that point than I was last year, and I think that it actually has been very helpful to kind of relax and enjoy the process more than just thinking about the end goal. So.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's really the point that I was getting to is, you know, as you mentioned, you've got just a few short tournaments this week here, and then you've got a couple more after, and then the season's over. Are you going to be okay? I mean, obviously, I know you want to win, but are you going to be okay if you don't win in the next three events?
I think that coming out here, my goal was to make it into the top 10 on the money list, and right now I'm sitting inside the top 10, so I think at the end of the season, if I'm still inside the top 10 and I haven't won yet, I won't be disappointed because I've accomplished the goal that I set for myself. So, I mean, I've been close a couple of times this year, but I just haven't quite reached the finish line. But so far, I'm extremely happy with how I've done. So there's no disappointment there that I haven't won one yet.
Yeah, and you know what? I think with anything, and as Cindy mentioned a few moments ago, you know, you've got all of the components. You know, if you were mixing up a sort of a secret sauce of success, you've got all those components. And I think the win is going to come naturally, and I think many wins are going to come in your corner. But I think that, you know, as I was alluding to, I think you just have to, and this is what many of the girls have mentioned coming on the show, is there came a point in time that they had to release that pressure a little bit and say, you know what, I'm just going to go out there for me. I don't care about the win. I don't care about this. Obviously, if it happens, that's great. And they certainly strive for that, but they're not going to put undue pressure and say, well, I've only got so many tournaments left, or I've got to get in the top, whatever. They just wanted to go out and just and play for themselves and enjoy it. And as I said, ultimately the wins came. I want to shift gears just a little bit. Obviously, this past weekend was the Solheim Cup, and Team Europe and went on to obviously defeat Team USA. But I think that everybody on both sides played phenomenally well. Do you enjoy that match play format? And would that be something that down the road you would love to be a part of a Solheim Cup?
I mean, we don't get to play match play very often, but I do enjoy it a lot. I mean, I think back to junior golf and all the team events that we played, and I was on the Junior Solheim Cup team, and I did play on the Junior Ryder Cup team, and they formatted very similar to how they play the Solheim Cup and Ryder Cup, and I look back, and those are some of my fondest memories of junior golf, and I really enjoyed my time, and I think playing for the U.S. on our Solheim Cup team would be an amazing experience, and it's definitely on my checklist of things I want to accomplish. So it's just something about golf, if you combine it into a team atmosphere, it just makes it a little bit more special since there are hardly any team events. So
yeah, I think it's a little lonely. That's what people I don't think realize, for golfers, especially at your level and Cindy's level, is that, most of the time, with the exception of a match play format, like a Solheim Cup, and there's other things out there as well, other events, you're playing by yourself. It's just you and the golf course, and I'm sure that can get very, trying and difficult because you don't have your teammates to sit and sort of, pep you and get you ready to get out there. You've got to go out. You've got to be your own cheering section. So I'm sure that's got to be difficult at times. I want to just ask one other thing, and then, Cindy, I'm going to pass it back to you. I want to forget about golf for a second and just give us an idea of what Esther likes to do away from golf to have some fun.
When I do get the free time, I am a big fan of listening to music. I mean, music has been a big part of my life growing up, and that's something I'm always looking for new music and new artists. But I think the one thing I do the most is read. It helps me forget about golf, just getting into a good book, and I love reading, so yeah, I can be kind of dorky with that, but it's something that I really enjoy to do. So most off weeks, you'll see me with a new book and just kind of hiding away for a little bit.
Yeah, I think nothing dorky about that. I think it's I think any time that you can get into a good book, a good story, whether it be real or fiction, I think can only help you grow as a person. So I think that's fantastic. What about anything else that you enjoy?
Well, when I'm home during the off weeks, me and my friends, we always try to go find a new restaurant or a new type of food to try. Surprisingly, I live very close to the beach, but I'm not a huge fan of the beach. But we do go down to the pier a lot and explore. But I'm really trying to think of things that I do during the off week, and all I can really think about is a lot of my off weeks are spent eating food and kind of catching up on sleep.
Right.
Nothing too exciting.
Well, I think you obviously need a lot of rest when you're playing those multiple weeks in a row, and it's well deserved, and nothing. I think that's great that you and your friends like to try some new things. I think that's always good to help you grow as well. Cindy, any final thoughts or questions you have for Esther before we let her go?
If you were sitting down with 5 young girls who were in 9th grade in high school, who were working on their games and trying to get better so that they could play in college, and they were struggling with their game, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that 9th grade, they're 14, around that age.
Yeah.
I would tell them that they still have a lot of time, and they don't have to be frustrated with anything because they have time to learn and to practice, and that right now at that age they should be focusing on enjoying the game and making new friends and experiences through it, and that the rest, with the right amount of practice and dedication and experience, all the rest will come later. And I would just tell them to have fun, because if they're not having fun, they're not going to enjoy it. And if they're not enjoying it, then it's really hard to get better at it. So that would be my number one advice, is to have fun. You don't have to put that much pressure on yourself when you're 14. Once they get a little bit older, they'll realize that if they're having fun, it's going to help them in the long run, because they'll enjoy golf a lot more. So I think, if looking back, that's what I would have told my 14-year-old self, was to just have fun with it and take advantage of the experiences and the memories that you can make through golf. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great words to live by. Well, Esther, we want to thank you very much for joining us this morning here on the Women of Golf Show, and we've enjoyed your thoughts and input. And as Cindy had mentioned, we have no doubt that you've got many wins in your future. And good luck this week and the next few weeks. And most importantly, as I said earlier, go out and have fun. Just enjoy it, and just be sort of caught up in just the fun and just the enjoyment of the tournament.
I definitely will. That's the plan, is to just enjoy myself these last couple of weeks. And
great job.
Sounds
honey.
good.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Good luck good luck this week in Alabama.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. You know, very quickly, Cindy, I know we got to do a quick spot and then bring on our next guest, but, you know, it was so true this season, was it not? How many of the girls all said the same thing, that, you know, during their low points and whatnot, that they really refocused and decided, hey, I'm just going to go out and enjoy the moment, have fun, and not worry about put that extra pressure. And I think a lot of them had that same sort of philosophy. And I think once she gets to that point, do you agree that I think things will change a little bit for her? I mean, she's number one, like I said, putting and very high up in most of the stats. So she's got the game to win. It's just I think she's at that point where she's getting caught up in herself. What do you think?
Oh, I don't think so at all. I think she's totally consistent. I think she's played all year. You cannot make yourself win, or we would all do that every week. I believe that she's got the right mindset, and you know,
right.
It just hasn't been meant to be up until this point.
Right.
You know, she's got everything she needs to win a lot, and I think she's going to be fine. She's going to be in the top 10, and she'll be on the LPGA Tour next year.
Yep, sounds good. All right, Cindy, very quickly set up the spot, and then we'll introduce our guest.
Well, do you use the game of golf as a business tool? Go for it.
Everyone knows business deals are made on the golf course. Knowing how to act is just as important as how you hit it. As an LPGA professional and corporate trainer, I offer workshops, seminars, and executive retreats to teach you how to do both. From the back nine to the boardroom, improve your team from the inside out, or Golf 101 for executives might be the perfect fit for your team. Maybe it's time to make some deals on the course. For more information, go to cindymillerinc.com.
All right. Cindy, we're going to bring out our next guest here in just a moment. Let me just tell everybody a little bit about her, and then we'll bring her onto the show. Our next guest, of course, is Jordan Lintz. She's an LPGA Class A professional and the Director of Instruction at the Roanoke Country Club in Stratford, Connecticut. And she was born and raised in Rapid City, South Dakota. Jordan encompasses a true Midwestern hardworking mindset, an all-around athlete, grew up in playing every sport that she could get her hands on, if you will, finally focusing on basketball, volleyball, and golf by her sophomore career in high school. She earned 10 varsity letters while at Stevens High School and was given the Top Rater Award her senior year for top female athlete. Following her high school, she attended the University of Wyoming and was recently inducted into the University of Wyoming Hall of Fame back in 2012. She was the first UW women's golfer ever to win an individual conference championship and excelled at Wyoming from 1996 to 2000. Played for a number of years on the LPGA's Futures Tour and other events. Currently, as I mentioned, she is enjoying her 5th season building her business, JL Golf, at the Roanoke Country Club in Stratford, Connecticut, where she continues to passionately teach golf as well as still competing in a few small professional events throughout the year. So, Cindy, let's welcome our special guest in the second half, Jordan Lintz.
Good morning, dear.
Good morning, Cindy.
Thank
you for having
today?
me. Everything's
We're so
great.
glad you're here.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. We're so glad you're here. Jordan and I were together yesterday. We were lucky enough to go play Friar's Head in Long Island, and we were able to raise a bunch of money for a thing called the Retreat Inc., where they serve battered and abused women. And we had an unbelievably awesome day yesterday. And have you played there before?
I had the privilege of playing there last year as well, and it's just an absolute treat. And what a great cause. The people we played with were outstanding, and it's just it's a pleasure being able to do that.
We are really lucky. And this place, oh my goodness, it was like you died and went to heaven.
It's pretty amazing.
So anyway, go ahead, Ted. Start us off.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple of posts that you had put up, Cindy, about that, and kudos to both of you and all the others involved for raising money for certainly a very worthy cause. And that's one thing, Cindy, I really love about golf is that there's so many great people, not only that go out and play golf, but actually do so much to give back to a variety of causes, much like you guys did yesterday. So you deserve to play in a wonderful course. Jordan, I'm Ted, of course, and I want to ask you something before we're going to let you obviously talk a little bit about what you're doing specifically, but to help the game. But I want to ask you something that I think puzzles a lot of people out there, and it's about obviously our amateur golfers. What do most amateurs not get when it comes to golf?
Well, I mean, playing in a lot of these pro-ams, you see so many different things, and so many of them are focusing on just, they think that every shot should be, the best shot and the perfect shot. And yesterday I had a discussion with a gentleman. We were talking, and he said, over every shot I've got 20,000 thoughts in my head, and I just can't figure out which one I should think about. And then I'm trying to do this and trying to do that. And so I talked with him a while, and I just said, you know what, let's just focus on something in the setup, something to start the swing and finish. And I had him do that behind the ball, and I said, move up to the ball, just trust it and swing. Go. Just go for it. You've got it in there. And so for the next 3 holes, we worked on basically it's kind of just a pre-shot routine, but a lot of it was a mental routine. And with whatever swing he's got right then and there, just trust and go. I gave him the ability to have those three thoughts and go. And that he said that after a few holes of working on that helped him a lot. And I said also, maybe our expectations, no one's going to be hitting every shot perfectly. I said, in reality, the best golfers are really the ones that really have the best misses, to be honest. I mean, we all are going to miss hit shots, but it's how you deal with that and how you get up there and, and recover. And just you're never giving up. You're always trying to do the next one. I said, look, you just got to, it's a continuous repetition of you and your mind. And when someone says golf's 90% mental, I said, absolutely, it is. So I worked with a couple of them yesterday on that. And they realized, we do expect to hit this shot perfectly or that shot perfectly. And I said, look, it's probably not going to happen. So let's just do the best we can, and we're all trying to get better. And if we can, control maybe some of those shots that go 50 yards right or left, that's going to be ultimately something that a golf professional can help you do for sure. So that was a big thing yesterday that I worked with someone on.
Well, that was definitely some great advice. And Jordan, you're correct, in your analogy, because probably the number one problem that I also see, and Cindy, I'm sure is in the top for you as well, is the fact that many of the amateurs get so many thoughts going through their mind that they just don't know how to filter it out. And if you talk to most golf professionals, and Jordan, I'm sure you did this when you played out on tour, you might have one or maybe two thoughts when you get up to the ball, and that's it, where they might have, as you said, 20,000. And the other thing, too, I think that a lot of them seem to want to strive for the perfect shot, as you said. And the problem with that is if the best players in the world are not hitting every shot perfectly, what makes them think that they're going to hit every shot perfectly? And, because they don't practice as much and so forth. So I think that, they have to be real with themselves. One other quick question I want to ask you, and then, Cindy, I'm going to hand it over to you. Do you think there's a part of the game that, again, keeping on this amateur theme for a moment, that many of them, and obviously we want them to practice all parts of their game, but is there parts of the game that you think a lot of amateurs spend way, way, way too much time in areas of their game that they're not spending enough time? And how would you sort of change that? What would you first uncover, and then how would you sort of put that into perspective?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, in general, if you walk up to a busy golf course that maybe has a good practice facility, you're going to see a majority of them on the driving range. And a lot of times they head up to the range, and the first club they pull out of their golf bag is their driver, and they're swinging away, and with maybe no intention in mind, but just to what they always, I hear, I'm just trying to hit it straight. And maybe they'll go through a few other clubs, but, so my question is always, what is straight? Where are you aiming? What's our intention? And have you practiced your short game today? So those are some of the things that, and when I do a lot of putting clinics for adults and incorporate chipping and putting together, and I really work on trying to do different things to where it make it somewhat of a game, and I separate distance control with putting, with direction, with alignment, and then we talk about breaking putts, because putting isn't that fun to practice a lot of times, and especially if you're just randomly just hitting putts. So I try and break it down and maybe give them something. I'll say, today you're going to work on your speed control over here, and then you're going to do 5 putts where you're going to just hit 5 3-footers in a row, and then you're going to come over here and you're going to do some lag putts. So definitely short game and chipping and putting is something that I don't think many people spend enough time practicing, and maybe it's just because they're having more fun trying to just take big swings and hit the ball. So I think one of the biggest things is just see if we can teach them how to have a little bit more fun chipping and putting, and I think they'll start seeing that that's where their scores are going to help go down faster than anywhere else. Yeah,
I agree. And I think, you kind of alluded to it, and that is, practicing with a purpose. Most of our amateur golfers, as all three of us could attest to, get out there and they're just sort of willy-nilly hitting golf balls out. And you're exactly right. I don't care what golf course you go, whether it's on the East Coast, West Coast, or somewhere in between, 90% of the people are up there with their driver or maybe one or two other clubs trying to hit it straight out in the driving range, and you go over to the putting green or the bunker area or what have you, and there's hardly anybody there for the majority of the day. And and yet that's where most of the scoring happens, is in that short game area. Cindy, go ahead.
I'm going to shift states a little bit. You recently finished second in the LPGA TNCP National Championship, which has earned you a spot in the 2020 KPMG Women's PGA Championship at Aronimink.
Yes.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
So, and you played on the Symetra Tour, and you played on the LPGA Tour, and you lost your card, and you went back to the mini tour. What made you decide, I'm done with this, and I want to teach golf instead of play it for a living full time?
I think I played almost, it was close to 8 years on and off Futures Tour, 1 full year on LPGA, back and forth, and I finally got to the point where I realized how unhappy golf was making me at the time, and it was really, I think the last 2 years were probably just such a struggle for me. On the golf course, when you start thinking about what you have to do on the golf course in order to maybe play the next week, or maybe stay in a hotel instead of a housing, or you start thinking about all these things, and golf becomes more, it's definitely not as much of a game. It was a job, and it was a job I was starting to hate and not get paid for because I wasn't doing a very good job with it, and it was just this cycle that I just couldn't get out of, and it was so much pressure on every swing, over every putt, and it just wasn't fun anymore, and I just needed a break. I needed to get out, and I really stopped loving the competition, which for me, that was part of the reason I loved playing, was just the competition, and I liked the pressure, and I liked all of those things, and it became a struggle daily, and questioning, why am I doing this? I don't have much to show for it in my bank account at the end. I can't keep going, and I decided I needed to change it up somehow, and a friend of mine was teaching up at Stratton Mountain Resort, and they said, come on up there, you can shadow us for a couple of weeks, learn from us, see if it's something you want to do. And I went up there, and it was the first time in a long time I felt like I had accomplished something by helping someone else out with their golf game, and it was a sense of accomplishment that I hadn't felt on the golf course in a long time, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm done, I need to move on, and this isn't for me.
Are you there?
Well said. Yes.
Well, I might lose you. I'm going to the mountains by Salamanca, New York, on my way back from New York City. But I totally agree with you, and I think, I went through the same thing. I lost my card, and I tried really, really hard, and I was like, I'm not getting paid for this, and I don't have any money, and you just feel like a failure.
Yes.
And I don't like feeling like a failure, and our son did the same thing. My husband played on the PGA Tour for 15 years and made enough money and played the Masters 5 times, but at the end it's like, you know what, I didn't like everyone saying, well, why'd you miss the cut? And, what's wrong with you? And it's like, do you not think I'm trying to fix myself? That's all I'm trying to do is fix myself. And again, you try too hard, then you can't produce the shots. But I also think it's funny because the guys I played with yesterday were awesome, and they were all more mature players and really good players. They all knew who Alan Miller was. They all had friends of Alan, Down in Gray and Vinnie Giles and all these guys. So they respected Alan's accomplishments, and I love being around people who strive and aspire to be, do, and have more. And so I don't believe that we're all supposed to be stars on the tour.
Right.
And they asked me questions about, did you enjoy playing? Yes, I enjoyed playing, and I've always been an underdog, and I've always tried to achieve more. But I said, you know what? I am really talented at helping people get better. And that's what I'm good at. So we talked about the Legends Tour, and I said, I understand that Julie Inkster and Laura Davies are going to win the tournament. I'm not supposed to really be trying to compete. I'm here to serve the audience. And I think it's been such a release for me to be like, oh, it's not that you suck and you can't play well. It's I have a different gift and talent, and they don't want to help you get better because they want to play. And so, again, some of these kids that are trying to play, which we interview the winner of the week's, tournament prior to our show from the Symetra Tour, and our son said to me when he quit playing, I don't want to work at the club, I want to be a member at the club.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, there you go. Good. So, now he's got a job and he's playing in the Crump Cup next week at Pine Valley. And, so it's like it's okay not to be the star. Find what your gifts and talents are. Bloom where you're planted. So thank you for being honest, Jordan. I love you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no fun being a failure, and you're absolutely correct. I absolutely started feeling like a complete failure, and I remember my caddy that worked with me a lot when I was on the LPGA tour, and at the end of the year when I lost my card, you feel like such a failure, and you're like, what in the world? This is the worst thing ever. And he was an older gentleman and was basically volunteering his time with me, and he said to me, you have no idea what you've accomplished, and you can't see it right now, and you are so far not a failure, but when you can understand this, there's more to what you can do than this. And at the time, I didn't understand that, and I'm like, this is an embarrassment, this is awful. But you really do start seeing what you're maybe meant to be doing. And I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity to play on the LPGA Tour, that I played for so many years. But, yeah, it's just definitely right now doing what I'm doing is much more fulfilling than I ever really felt as a player. So time to, move on. And it's fun that I'm enjoying competition again, but is it something I'm going to ever do full-time again? No, absolutely, probably not.
Yeah. And that's okay because you're giving people, you're helping others rather than shining the light on yourself. You're shining it on others. But side note, in a week and a half, we are playing together in a team event, and we do plan on kicking some butt, right?
Yes, absolutely, we do.
I'm not stupid,
well said.
Ted. I find the people that can hit it 100 yards by me and choose them as a partner.
That's right. Well said. Well, let me just say to both of you, you're both stars in my book, and Jordan, let me just add very quickly, this thought, and Cindy, I know you already know this. I think you're right. You have to find your gifts and talents, but the fact that you both went out there and tried your best on tour, you can look back and say, well, you know what? At least I tried. You won't look back and regret and say, I wish I had gone out there and at least given it a shot. You can both honestly say that, and you have successes. Whether you won the tournament or not, you had successes because you gained valuable knowledge that now you can pass on to your students. You can say, I know what it's like to play out there with the best of the best, and whether you won or not is irrelevant. I mean, yes, you would have loved to both won here and there and different things, and you do win in other ways. But you've both gained a wealth of knowledge, and Cindy, as many people that have come on this show that you've invited on all say the same. You're one of the best in the industry, and they value the gifts and talents that you bring and give back to this wonderful game. So either one of you never sell yourself short, because you guys have some big talent in many ways. Jordan, let me just ask you, because I don't want us to run out of time here. Give us a chance to tell us a little bit about JL Golf.
JL Golf has been about 5 years in the making. When I first basically retired from playing, I was, like I said earlier, I was shadowing at a couple different golf schools. I was going and just trying to get help with, how do I now teach this information and everything that I do? How do I actually get this out and help people do this? So I started teaching for different golf schools and then applied for, I just needed a job, a full-time job, obviously, and it happened to be in Milford, Connecticut at Great River Golf Club. They had a position for assistant director of instruction. It was everything I was looking for. It was a great salary, benefits, everything, the full package. The problem was it was in New England, and I wasn't really looking at that time. I was living in Tampa, Florida, my entire career since college. So I took the leap, went to Connecticut, thinking I'd be there for a couple of years and move closer to my family, somewhere in the Midwest. But that was about 11 years ago. So I worked for Great River for 6 years, great experience, ran a lot of tournaments, programs, taught as much as I could. And at the end, I started really wanting to teach more, and I just felt like, too much of my time was geared in other places it was a high-end corporate club. And, I had an offer down the road. A general manager at the time said to me, we really need help with instruction here. Is there any chance you would come over? Think about it. At the time, I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not leaving my cushy job to come over and just teach. And gradually, I got more and more frustrated and really just wanted to teach. So I went back to him. I said, well, I would love to do this. What's the deal? And he said, you can either do this as your own business or you could work for us. And I thought about it a lot. And with the help of my family and everyone around me, they said, just go for it. Go for it. Do your own thing. And, the first probably 2 months after I left Great River and opened my own business, I, definitely panicked for a good month or so, thinking, what did I just do? But it's become amazing. I create all my own golf programs. I teach a lot of adults because it is a semi-retirement community where this golf course is located. So there are a lot of adults programs that I teach, and it's been fabulous. I really enjoy it. I'm slowly building more juniors. It's just there aren't a lot of juniors that are at the club. They have to come from other clubs to me to take lessons. So I'm slowly building a high school program. I have junior groups all summer long. But throughout the entire year, I teach a lot of women. I do a lot of beginner clinics all the way up to some pretty advanced players. I've taught every single winner of our club championship, men, women, middle level. They all have come to me. So it's been a lot of fun getting to know the members and building my program, and I teach all people from all over the area. And I hope I'm starting to gain a little bit of a reputation of being a good teacher. I do put 100% into everything, with every student, and it's just been a thrill to be able to grow and, help others accomplish whatever their goal is, whether it's breaking 100 or breaking 75, whatever it is, helping them. It's been an awesome experience so far.
Well, I think I would concur. I think you made the right decision. Any step, regardless of what you do in life, it's always going to be a little bit scary at first. But I think if you go in it with a positive attitude and with the thought that, just like I said earlier about playing on tour, at least, you and Cindy and others as well, made that effort to go out and try it out on tour. And okay, after a while you came to the realization, okay, this is not for me, but at least you can look back and say that you tried. So obviously JL Golf is going to be a great success. You've taken something and you've made it your own. And now what you're going to do is give all of that knowledge and experience that you've gained over the years in your own play and your own understanding of golf and pass that on to not only women but juniors as well as time progresses. So kudos to you for doing that and taking that leap of faith, if you will. Let me just ask you one other quick question, and then we'll have to wrap up. Because you said that you're starting to work with juniors. Do you find it easier or more difficult to teach juniors than adults?
I don't know if either one is easier or harder. I think the number one thing is if that junior or adult is there with a willingness to learn and they want to be there and they really have the desire to learn, then it's I'm not going to say it's easy to teach, but it's much easier to work with them. So if a junior comes to me, and you can tell that's not something they want to do, they don't want to be there, this is mom and dad getting there, I still am going to give it 100%, but those are the ones that are a lot harder. And I do have a few adults that I think, sometimes are there with that same intention, but a lot of times there's a lot of kids that are there in the beginning that may not want to be there, and those are the ones that are harder for me. But as soon as anyone, no matter what age they are, no matter what level they are, if they're there and you can tell they have this willingness and this desire to learn, whatever that is, age level or skill-wise, those are the ones that are definitely the ones that I enjoy working with the most, obviously, because they just soak it in. They ask questions. You can tell they're going to put the effort in. So I don't know if there's one easier age group or the other. I think it's more of the mindset that they have that makes it easier or harder.
Right. Well said. Cindy, go ahead.
I totally agree with you. The Give a Rip meter has to be up there.
Mm-hmm.
So how do our listeners find you?
Well, I have a website, jordanlintzgolf.com. They can go on my website and look at some of the programs that I have to offer. I'm also available by email, jordanlintzgolf@gmail.com. And I'm able to teach members and non-members, so I'm open to anyone in the area or that wants to travel and see me.
Perfect.
Very good. Well, we've got to wrap up, but I've got one final question for both of you. What's going to be the strategy? What's going to be the Miller-Lintz strategy in this upcoming event?
Well, I don't know, Cindy. I mean, obviously, I know the golf course that we're playing, but I'm probably I don't normally hit my driver at Roanoke very very often because it's very narrow and not a lot of room for airs. But I don't know. We might have to find some sort of a strategy where we're just going for it and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm just going to follow what she tells me to do because it's very tight. I do remember that. It's very tight and it's very tricky, and you have to know where you're going or you're going to shoot a billion.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I'm just going to follow what she says and then hit it in the fairway on the green and hopefully make some putts. And if we do that, we will win.
That sounds like a good plan.
Perfect.
I think that's
Thank you, dear.
I think that's a wonderful strategy. Jordan, thank you very much for joining Cindy and I this morning here on the Women of Golf Show. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you be a part of the show, and you're welcome to come back anytime. And if you guys pull the win through in the week to come on back and we'll celebrate together. But thank you very much, Jordan, for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It's been an honor.
Thanks, honey.
All right.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you. You too. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was our very special guest on the second half, Jordan Lintz, LPGA Class A professional, and what a great positive attitude that she has, and she's so right, Cindy. When she talks about if you come with the right mindset, and a willingness to learn and improve, it makes our job that much easier. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's our show. We appreciate you tuning in this morning. And on behalf of Cindy Miller and I'm Ted Odorico. Thank you very much for joining us this morning here on the Women of Golf Show. And we will see you next week with another great show here on the Women of Golf. God bless everybody, and thank you very much for listening. Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks, Ted. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening this morning to the Women of Golf Show. Tune in live each week by visiting blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf or on any of these social media platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, CastBox, TalkStream Live, and of course Spotify. If you can't join us live, check out our on-demand section for previously aired broadcasts. To get updates for future shows and upcoming guests, you can follow us on Facebook at Women of Golf. You can also follow me on Twitter at Ted and Buck CEO and Cindy at Cindy Miller Golf. Please remember to join us next week on the Women of Golf Show. See you next time. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.